Hey, Chandler Bolt here, and in this video, I'm going to talk to you about how to hire a COO to run your company. So this is probably one of the most common questions that I get. I am a really good operator. I have a lot of friends who are really great visionaries and who are really great at being the visionary for their company, but the flip side of that is they need someone to help operate. They need someone to keep the trains running on time. And this is so much of a problem that I've actually created a separate company that's kind of an outsourced COO company where we help people operationalize their business. So bring systems, bring process, and bring playbooks to their business. But what do you do if you need to hire a COO? So you need someone to really run the business. Well, first things first, spoiler alert, you do not need a COO. This is the biggest and most common misconception is people say, oh, I need a COO. Your business is not big enough to justify the hiring of a COO. If you look at payscale.com, which is one of my favorite tools to kind of see what are job descriptions, what are standard salary ranges, what are all those things. If you look there, you'll see, really COOs, unless your company's 5, 10, 15, maybe even 25 million, your company's not big enough to warrant having a COO. You need an ops manager. So chances are, if you advertise a COO position, you're gonna overpay for that position. You're gonna hire someone who's underqualified, pay them too much, and you don't even need the horsepower that they have because COOs are really good at bigger company process. Ops managers are really good at kind of down in the dirt and at the size of your company, so SMB, so small market business. They're good at helping you operationalize those things. So this is one of the first things I did. I bought out my business partner a few years back. I've got a separate video on kind of how to buy out your business partner if that's something that you're going through. I know for me, my business partner was the operator. So when I bought him out, I lost that operations prowess in my business. So this was like the most important position that I've ever hired for. As I said, I need an ops manager to come in and help me run this business. Because if I screw up this hire, the business is probably gonna fail. So first things first, before I go into the details on how to hire an ops manager, if you do not have an assistant, you should hire that first. A lot of people think they need a COO, then maybe you've said, okay, maybe I just need an ops manager. But if you don't have an assistant, this is the most game-changing hire in your business. And I know that my life forever changed ever since I got a great assistant. Now I'm not having to book my flights, book my hotels, travel, all these things that are being taken care of that I used to have to take care of are now being taken care of by my assistant. And also, a good assistant is like 1 degree away from an ops manager. So if you don't have an assistant in your business and your business is less than 5 or 10 employees, that would be the first hire that I would make. That's gonna help you operationalize in your business, and you might not even need to hire an ops manager. Now, if you already have an assistant and you're still bursting at the seams and you're like, I need operational help, then one of the best things that you can do is promote that assistant to ops manager and then hire a new assistant. Now, depending on how long this assistant's been with you, those skill sets are very transferable. So I actually like to hire exec assistants as ops managers because a lot of times they just have the hustle and they have the grit that a seasoned COO or a seasoned ops manager just may or may not have. So they not only already know the business, they probably already know what's going poorly and what needs to be improved, but they can roll up their sleeves quickly and start implementing, and then they can help you hire that next assistant. So they know exactly what they're good at and what they're not good at. They know what you like in an assistant, so you can task them first to hire you a new assistant, and that can be their first job as ops manager as you promote them into that role. So if you haven't decided to hire an assistant and you don't have an assistant that you can promote to ops manager, then here, we're getting into it. Here's how you actually find one. So first things first, when it comes to hiring and finding an ops manager, you need to have a really good job scorecard. If you don't know what a job scorecard is, I've got a separate video on how to create job scorecards for any role. And in that video, I actually walk through the scorecard of an ops manager. But a scorecard is the most important thing. And it's actually in our whole hiring process, this is the most important thing. If you do not know what you're hiring for, chances are you're gonna find the wrong person. So, and I talk about this in my hiring video. Our hiring process is really, really, really good. I'm not in this video gonna talk about hiring because I've covered that extensively. It's a drop the mic, very long video that walks through the whole process. But in that video, I talk about how the most important thing is that you get a job scorecard. It's kind of the 4 S's of hiring. So create a good job scorecard, source great candidates, select the best one, and then sell them on working for you. This is a principle from WHO by Jeff Smart. So what I want to focus on in this video is how do you make sure that you get the right job scorecard, and then most importantly, how do you source those candidates? So create the job scorecard, that's the first thing. So what are the results for the first 30, 90 days that you want them to be accountable for? And then also, what are the KPIs that they're going to be accountable for? So what are the key performance indicators that you're going to hold them accountable for on a day-to-day basis so that they know what success looks like? Now, once you have that mapped out, and maybe the job scorecard or the hiring video will kind of help you with that, but once you have that mapped out, now it's all about sourcing great candidates. So for this, I like to go to agencies, I like to go to the corporate world, I like to, as I said earlier, I like to find exec assistants, I like to find engineers, or people who wanted to be engineers early on and they realized, wow, this is not for me. So maybe they flunked out of engineering school, or they have an engineering degree, but they're not an engineer. Because if they have an engineering degree, but they're not an engineer, then they're probably not getting paid on that upper pay bracket as engineers would. So they would be an affordable hire that still thinks like an operator, right? You need someone who, they're probably a T or a J, and probably a TJ on the Myers-Briggs. They're probably a high follow-through on the Colby. So I know I'm throwing a lot of personality tests at you, but they're probably a high follow-through on the Colby. They're probably a high TJ, so thinking and judging, so getting things done on the Myers-Briggs. So those are things that are important. They might also be Six Sigma, so they might have a green belt or any of those certifications. That's kind of a nice to have, it's not a have to have. Sometimes people with those certifications, they'll be over bogged down in corporate speak. And so if you have a startup, it's gonna be whiplash for them. I've looked at people with that and I've considered people with that. It could be a plus, it's not a have to have, right? So those are the type of things that you're looking for. Either this was a seasoned exec assistant, really good operations person, someone who's an engineer, look into any of those companies. So that's kind of what I'm looking for when I'm trying to figure out, hey, where can I pull someone good? Now for me personally, this worked out really well from an assistant perspective, is I was able to pull someone from a company that I worked with in the past, and this was someone who always made sure the trains ran on time. Just everyone knew that he was basically running the company. And so he's done really well in this role, and there's a pretty good chance that he'll move on to be our ops manager in the future. So we've actually operationalized the business so much from the other videos that I've talked about, playbooks, systems, all those things, that we don't even have an ops manager currently, because folks are so good at the operations side of the business. So there you have it. That's how you find a COO, which again, you don't need a COO, you actually need an ops manager. And if you can't promote an assistant or hire an assistant, then yes, you need to find an ops manager. Hopefully that helps you on your journey to sourcing and selecting the right candidate. I'd love to hear from you. Do you have an ops manager? Do you have a COO? Maybe you disagree with me. Maybe you think you need a COO in your sub $5 million company. I would disagree with that, but maybe you disagree with me. Comment below. I'd love to hear from you. And as always, I'll see you in the next video. Talk soon.